Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for attending the Bonnie Brae Street traffic calming meeting. This evening, we have Jabra Kasho, who's our city traffic engineer, and Tony Chow, who is our transportation project engineer for your traffic calming neighborhood meeting. And I think that this is probably the third meeting. Is that correct, Tony?
That's correct.
Okay, wonderful. And so we'll have a presentation over PowerPoint. And then at the very end, you'll be able to ask questions and answers. Again, this is a recorded presentation. At the very bottom of your Zoom webinar screen, you will see that there's a Q&A feature. You can type your question in here. You could also use the chat to type your question in, and you also could raise your hand if you would like to speak. And again, we will take these questions at the very end. So my name is Stacy Reve, and I work for the city of Beaverton in transportation planning, and I'll be the moderator this evening, and I'll be helping kind of answer some questions along with Tony and Jabra. So I will now be sharing my screen. Oh, there you go. Neighborhood traffic calming for Southwest Bonnie Brae Street between Southwest Murray Boulevard and Southwest Menlo Drive. And Tony Chow will be our transportation project manager, and he will do the presentation. Thank you, Tony.
All right. So hope this meeting find everybody safe and away from the wildfire and the smoke. It's crazy out there. Everyone stay safe. And this is our third of a series of neighborhood meeting. Upon the conclusion of this meeting, hopefully we'll choose a design to go forward, whether the speed cushion or the speed display signs. And then at the end of the meeting, Jabra Kasho will also go over the logistics that will take place after the meeting, which is the virtual open house, the petition survey, and the next steps. Next slide. So this is a project area. So there's two project areas from Murray Boulevard to 141st and 141st to Menlo Drive. So at the end of the project, we also have a polling question whether to separate the two areas into one voting area or two separate voting areas. So this is the first potential voting area. And the next slide, please. And this is our second voting area, potentially. Or we can keep the project together as one project. And there'll be a question at the end for that, to answer that, for you guys to decide whether to do one or two areas. Next slide. So this is our first option, speed cushions. As you can see, there'll be a set of your speed hump sign as you come eastbound from Murray Boulevard at 14420 Southwest Bonnie Brae Street. And the first set of speed cushion you will see is at 14350 Southwest Bonnie Brae Street. The next set will be at 14270 Southwest Bonnie Brae. And then the third set will be at 14170 Bonnie Brae Street. Next slide. And as you can see, the 150 feet away from the sign will be your first set. The other 245 feet will be a second set of speed cushion. Next slide. And then the third set will be the other 230 feet away. And that'll get you to 141st Avenue. Next slide. And then once you cross 141st Avenue, your first set will be 345 feet away from heading eastbound between Bonnie Brae Court West and Lisa Lane East at 13805. No, sorry, 13905, sorry. And then the second set will be at 13850, the other 275 feet away. And then once you get past there, there'll be a sign facing westbound traffic, a speed hump sign. And that will get you to Menlo Drive. Next slide. So this is in more detail the location of the speed cushions. As you can see, it's between Bonnie Brae Court West and Lisa Lane East. And the next slide. And then one more before we get to Bonnie Brae Court East. Next slide. So this is what a speed cushion looks like in real life. You have your speed hump, the traditional speed hump, divided into four sections. so an emergency vehicle can go through it with no issues. And it's also good for drainage and really good for slowing down traffic on Bonnie Brae, potentially. And then now we have our first polling question.
I will be launching the polling question for everybody to make a selection. I will be launching the question now. And it will be open for about 30 seconds. I typically will make sure that folks have the ability to vote.
So please state your preference for these speed cushions, whether you support it, against it, or have concern at this time.
Okay, we'll just wait a few more seconds here. Okay, we will now end the polling. Oh, I'll wait just a minute, another couple seconds here. Okay, I will now end the polling. And I will share the results.
It looks like a majority of the residents support traffic calming moving forward, but we also have a second option, USB display sign, that we'll go through at this moment. Okay.
Okay.
Next slide. So as mentioned before, there's a second option for a USB display sign. As you can see, heading eastbound from Murray Boulevard on Bonnie Brae Street, once you pass Lisa Lane West at 14365, you see a set of one set sign facing west, facing eastbound traffic. If you get past Lisa Lane West, and it'll be roughly at 14350 Southwest Bonnie Brae. Okay, next slide. In more detail, the location and how far away is it? It's about 365 feet from Murray Boulevard for eastbound traffic. Next slide. So once you get past 141st Avenue, you see one heading to westbound traffic at 13775 Southwest Bonnie Brae Street. Next slide. It'll be roughly 355 feet away from Menlo Drive for westbound traffic. And then this is in more detail, the location. Okay, next slide. So this is what your speed display sign looks like in real life. This is on Hart Road. As you can see, there's a solar panel on top with a speed limit sign, and then also a flashing display sign that will show your speed as you pass the sign. Next slide. So now we'll bring up our second polling question, whether you support the your speed display sign.
Okay, I will start the second polling question now. Launching the polling. Please take a few seconds here to make your selection.
So please provide feedback on whether you support, against, or have concern about the your speed display signs.
Okay, wait a few more seconds here until 100% have participated. Okay, looks like everyone has voted. I'll end the polling now and then share the results.
Looks like there's some support, but there's also some doubts about the your speed display sign. So at the end of the, well, at this moment, we'll open up the questions. At the end of the questions, we'll have a polling question for whether you want your USB display sign or speed cushion move forward after the questions. And at this moment, we'll open up to any question you guys have.
Okay. Okay, it looks like Jennifer, I'm going to push the button to allow you to speak. Okay, Jennifer, go ahead. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. We noticed on the polling it was for Barlow Road, not Bonnie Brae Road. That was it.
Yeah, this is for Bonnie. So yeah, this is for Bonnie Brae Street. So if the poll say Barlow, this is for Bonnie Brae Street.
Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer. We had another traffic calming meeting, and so probably once we submitted these polling questions, it could have been that the person that put them in didn't change the street name to Bonnie Brae. So we apologize for that confusion.
So the polling will go through for Bonnie Brae, not Barlow, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. I don't see any more raised hands, so I will go up to the Q&A feature and see if there are any questions. I don't see any questions. Again, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand to speak, or you could use the Q&A feature at the very bottom of the Zoom webinar.
And if you have any question that you prefer to share with us in private, there's also be contact information at the end for you to email us, call us, or reach out to us if you wish to share in private.
Okay, looks like Kalina. Mm-hmm.
There are some questions under chat.
For some reason, I'm not able to see that. Kalina would like to speak, so I'll go ahead and allow her to talk, and then I will look for that chat feature. Maybe I need to stop sharing my screen. That could be a possibility. Okay, Kalina, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, so I wasn't at the other meetings, but has there been evidence shown that one method is more effective than another for the traffic calming?
There's definitely more evidence the speed cushion will be more effective than speed display sign because it's something that's physical and people can, all travelers and all motorists can feel it going across the roadway. Whereas a USB display sign, somebody who passed through it could choose to ignore it or choose to go proceed at the speed limit and not slow down as the. And then, Job, do you have anything to add about speed cushions versus USB display signs?
Now, speed cushions or speed humps are the most effective traffic calming devices. It works both ways for two reasons. First, if they're spaced correctly, like what you have on the plan, it reduces the speed quite a bit. Also, it will prevent cut-through traffic. They're well known for reducing cut-through traffic. Speed display signs, they work. Some cities, that's all what they use. For example, city of Bellevue, Washington, that's what they use for traffic calming. So there are studies that shows it reduces speeds, but it's not as effective as the speed cushions. The speed cushions, basically, it's a sleeping policeman. It works 24 hours, a day, and the same with the speed display sign. Yeah, it's on all the time. But there are some drivers who sometimes, ignore it, or even some kids, sometimes they try to see how fast they can go to show on the speed display. So my personal opinion, and professional opinion, speed cushions is more effective. And I hope your neighborhood will choose those, because you have issues with cut-through traffic between Murray and Menlo Drive.
Thank you, Kalina. Do you have any other questions? Or you'll have to unmute yourself. Okay, maybe not at this time. We do have one question that was in the chat. It says, what is a braking strip at the stop sign?
It's a stop bar. I did not see where you see a braking strip, but there is stop bars, and there's also like existing pavement marking that we'll keep on Bonnie Brae Street. But I do not see where there's a braking strip. But we do have speed cushion that might be planned on Bonnie Brae Street. Does that answer your question?
Does anybody else have any questions, or would anybody else like to speak and ask a question to Tony or Jabra at this time? Okay, I think we can go ahead and move to the next polling question. Tony, do you want to go? Should we go ahead and do that?
Yes, please.
Okay, we are now going to do another polling question. The question is, which option do you prefer the city to move forward with? I will launch the polling now.
So please choose at this time whether you prefer speed cushions or your speed display signs. That's the option moving forward.
Okay, a few more seconds here. Looks like everyone's doing a great job. I really appreciate you being here this evening, by the way, and doing a great job on these polling questions. We're new at some of this technology, but I think you're doing very, very well. Okay, I will go ahead and end the polling now. And I will share the results.
Looks like a majority at this time prefer speed cushions. So that'll be the option moving forward. And then after this meeting, we'll have a virtual open house in a few weeks. And then after the open house, we'll have a petition survey. So can we go to the next slide, please? So at this time, Jabra Kasho, the city traffic engineer, will talk about the open house, petition survey, and then potential voting of separating these two segments into two voting areas or one voting area. And then Jabra, please.
Yeah, before I go on, I just want to ask the attendees, if you don't like anything about the plan you picked, or you have some concerns, please bring it up so we could tweak the plan if we need to before we go to the open house. I mean, if you have any concerns now, we could do the tweaking and bring it, you know, to the open house. You don't need to have another meeting to show if we moved the speed cushions few feet here and there. So please, if you have any concerns or questions about the plan, use the Q&A and ask them at this moment. Since the poll shows that the majority are in favor of option 1, the speed cushions. So what we will do next is we will have an open house to show the plan. This will give an opportunity for people who did not attend this meeting to be able to look at the plan and comment on it. If the majority of the comments are for the plan, we'll proceed to the next step. If we receive, you know, many comments against the plan or some concerns, we might come back to the drawing board and working with you on the plan to tweak it try to please everyone. Sometimes it's really difficult because we have to maintain certain spacing and certain devices. But we try to do our best in making sure that the neighbors are agreeing on it and are happy with what they're gonna have. So let's say after the open house, everything went well. So what the city will do is we'll poll the plan. So we picked option 1. So what we'll do, the city will mail you a packet, and the packet will contain a cover letter explaining the process. It will contain a copy of the plan and a response card that has 3 options on it. You could choose no, you could choose yes, and also you could choose to abstain. And also in the packet, there is a prepaid return envelope. So after you check your option on the response card, you mail it back to the city through that prepaid envelope. If you choose to abstain from the vote, then you will be taken out of the total number of cards. And let's say we send out 100 cards for the plan, just for an example. For the plan to go through to the next step, we must receive back 67 cards out of the 100 with the yes option. If we don't get your card back, it's considered an automatic no. And if you abstain, like I said, that will take it out of the total number. So let's say 1 abstain came back, then the total number of cards will be 99, and we'll base the 67% out of the 99 cards. People who vote on the plan are people who live along Bonnie Brae, and we go 250 feet on the side streets. This is how the project area is defined in the traffic calming program. So the project area that Tony showed on this map and the other map, those are the residents that will be voting on the plan. If the home is a rental, then the resident who lives at that place and the owner will receive a card. So basically there will be 2 votes for that one resident if it's a rental. And we'll check each one, to make sure through our records, if the owner address is different than the address on Bonnie Brae, then it means it's a rental. If you know of any, please let us know, and that will help us too. So let's say the plan, after we did the poll, typically we give 2 weeks for people to respond. Let's say the plan get the 67%. The minute we get the results and the plan receives the 67%, then we'll schedule the plan for a hearing by the Traffic Commission. So the Traffic Commission will hold the hearing and get feedback from the public basically on the plan. So people can, speak for, against, or whatever they want to talk about, regardless they live on the street or not. But through time, I haven't seen a plan that received the 67% and didn't make it through the Traffic Commission. So most likely the Traffic Commission will approve it. The Traffic Commission approval actually is recommendation for the City Council. Then we'll schedule it on consent agenda before the City Council, and the City Council will give the final go for construction. If everything goes well, hopefully by next summer, we will have a plan and it will be constructed. And if you have any questions about the process, please use the Q&A or ask to speak at this time.
We do have a couple of questions. So I'll go ahead and read this first one, and then looks like Kalina has her hand up. So let's go ahead with this first question. Is there a budget available to do this work? And how soon would it be accomplished?
Yeah, currently we have a budget for traffic calming devices for the 2020-21 budget. If the process goes quick, if we don't get any negative comments about the plan and it moves forward, it might have a chance to be constructed, but if the weather goes bad and starts raining, you know, we cannot install speed cushions or speed humps. It's got to be warm for the asphalt to stick and get compacted. So I believe by next spring is probably the time to finish the project.
Okay, great. Looks like our other person that had their hand raised, maybe they just did that on accident. Does anybody else have a question? Oh, okay. Looks like Rick would like to talk. I'll go ahead and I'll press the button now. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Rick.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I live on Bonnie Brae Court, and I think you said it, but I kind of missed it. Will I be able to vote on this?
Yes, you have a chance to vote as long as you're in the project area. Like if your house is in the black shaded area, can you go to the next slide? So yeah, if you're in the black shaded area, any house with a number of the postal PO box number, you have a chance to vote.
Okay. Oh, good. I see it, and I think I'm at 13999, and I believe that's in the black shaded area.
Yes. And if your household is labeled with a PO number, then yes, you'll be included.
Okay. Oh, good. That is me then. That's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome. Great question.
I have, I forgot to mention something about the polling and the voting. I don't know if Tony mentioned this at the first meeting when you had the first meeting for the traffic calming on Bonnie Brae. You know, the project started, the request came in for a project between Murray Boulevard and 141st. And then when we did the ranking for the projects, one of the traffic commissioner asked if the project could be extended to Menlo Drive. So what we could do, we could split the project into two, and we'll have two projects basically. So people who live between Murray and 141st will vote on that area alone. And people who live between 141st and Menlo, basically what you see on the screen, will vote on the devices and on this section only. So we're gonna do a poll to ask if you wanna have it as one project altogether or you'd like it split. Because if it splits, then one side might make it, one side might not, or both could make it at the same time. I can't tell you. So we would like to hear your opinion on this. Would you like to keep it all as one, or you would like to split it?
Okay, I will go ahead and do that polling question now. Would that work, Jabra, if I do that polling question now?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, next polling question is being launched. Okay, and it's open. Please make your votes. Okay, just a few more seconds here. Looks like most people have voted. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the polling and share the results.
So it looks like a majority wants to have a single voting area. So we'll have one more chance to provide feedback on this voting area at the open house. But moving forward, we'll try to keep the project as one segment, unless a majority wants to do two segments. Anything else to add on, Jabra?
I think since the vote now showing single voting area, that's what we will go with.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing the results now. And I'll look to see if there are any other questions or any hands raised. Again, as Jobber had said earlier, please, any questions that you might have would be great to do that now. That way we can start to address some of those. There aren't any bad questions.
If you have any questions later on after the meeting or afterwards, you can feel free to email us, call us, or you can find contact information on the traffic calming website, which you can reach out to us.
Doesn't look like there's any questions coming in. Was there another slide that you all would like? Maybe
Yes, there's
the
one more slide.
contact information.
So next slide, please. So here's our contact information. So if you have anything that you come up with, like inputs, feedback, questions, or anything that you have, please email us, call us, or find information on the traffic calming website. If you have anything that after the meeting that you have, just you want to reach out to us about. Anything else, a Jobber you'd like to add?
No, I don't have to add anything. I think you covered it all. Unless we have questions from the attendees.
Doesn't look like we have any right now. I just wanted to also reiterate to everyone, thank you so much for participating this evening and spending some time with us tonight to talk about the Bonnie Brae Street traffic calming project, and your questions have been great so far. So maybe we'll just wait just a few more minutes in case there are any more questions that come up. We just got a few thank yous. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Okay, well, if no one has any other questions, then again, this is a recorded presentation, and another thank you, and they appreciate the hard work that you're doing. So thank you, Jabra and Tony. Way to go.
I think there is a question.
There is, yes. What about the extra parked cars near Menlo?
So the extra parked cars, you're talking about like on the curve. At this time, we're not planning to restrict parking as part of the traffic calming project. But where you see speed cushions potentially, you still can park on the speed cushions.
If you have issues about parking, just let us know and we'll treat parking issues separate than the traffic calming. So if there are cars parked at the corner that impedes the view of the driver, we could take care of those things in a separate process. Just
And the and the comment to the extra parked cars and that sort of thing just says it does make the road narrow. And then we've got one person that has a question. But sorry, Jabra, I interrupted you.
It's okay.
Okay. Okay, Rick, go ahead and unmute yourself and we're ready for your question.
I really would like to weigh in on the cars at the bottleneck of Bonnie Brae Street as it comes up to Menlo. I mean, it's very, the cars are parked on both sides, and you really can't get two cars through there. It's just a pretty nasty bottleneck. So I guess that's all I have to say. I'd love it if something could be worked out with that.
So yes, yeah, like Jarvis mentioned, we can do a parking study and see if there's a parking issue then we can take a look into that separate from the traffic calming process.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, but also sometimes, parked cars act as traffic calming devices. People tend to slow down when the street is narrow, and it helps.
Okay, I do see that. That you are right with that. It slows it right down.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
Uh-huh.
Okay, any final questions? Okay, and as Tony mentioned on this last slide, and there's a PDF of this presentation that will also be on the traffic calming website under Bonnie Brae. And this recorded presentation will also be there, could be at the end of the week, could be the beginning of next week, but go ahead and look for that if you would like to watch this again. And thank you so much for participating this evening, and we welcome your feedback. Jabra, Tony?
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
We'll send you information about virtual open house in a few weeks.
Yeah, I want to thank all the attendees for spending time being at this presentation, and stay safe and healthy.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we still have a couple of attendees here, so we'll wait until, and I will go ahead and stop recording now.